In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, first I want to thank Pastor Haynes, and then I want to thank Case and all of those who are the directors. I want to say to the superintendent that at the school board, I didn't say you were a white supremacist. I said exactly, you don't have to be white to practice white supremacy. And so I want to say that what members of our community brought to the board has been mischaracterized. And I don't care how many intellectual cowards we get to stand up on this stage and tout one thing or another, not particularly talking about the board, many of them have left, and how many half-truths are told. The reality is that we're not questioning whether or not there should be accountability in the school system. Let's be clear about that. We're saying there should be accountability. We're saying that it has not been implemented in a fair way. This is all we're saying. We're saying that we should look at how much time they have been given. And if it has been approved by the board in January, then March is not enough time to go ahead and say we're not going to renew the contracts of the teachers that are loved. Love is the most important thing in my opinion. I agree with my brother on the stage that, love is something that you can't artificially manufacture. So if love is there, we can teach them the other skills. But replacing teachers that are loved and that love a community and principals, with people who don't know the community could pose a problem. And so I want to make sure that it's clear that we're not saying that there shouldn't be a system of accountability. You didn't answer Ms. Diane's question. We keep dodging the questions. And we don't think that the amount of time that they have been given is sufficient. So I want to, on closing what I had to say that when I say that you don't have to be white to practice white supremacy, I am very clear that after slavery, the colleges and the schools that were set up by the former slave masters, perpetuated by their children, was set up as a system of control when it came to the black community, and that in Congress they sat and talked about what would and would not be taught in the schools. Before we had superintendents, before we had principals, before we had the teachers that we have and the commissioners, the system of education that was put in place to make better slaves has not been changed. So we can shuffle principals and teachers and everything else, but what I'm saying is that until we address fundamental change in a curriculum founded in white supremacy, where black children do not see themselves properly represented, where our contribution to the onward march of civilization is not recognized, why don't they want to go to those places to hear what's being taught in those places? I think we have been tricked into thinking that because we have six-figure salaries, wear nice suits, live in nice homes, drive nice cars, that we aren't just as good a slave as our ancestors were, who knew they were slaves. Our problem is that we have slaves walking around today that don't know they're slaves. And so we have more PhD degrees, master's degrees, bachelor's degrees today, but we're still, as black people, in a worse condition. It's something that is wrong with what has been taught. To go and get a degree and then go and beg your former slave masters and children for a job to continue to perpetuate their world tells me that you're not educated properly. And this is why we have black intelligentsia leaving our community and going to the suburbs, because you think that means you made it now. Let's teach our children that God created a black man and a black woman, and from those two came all human beings, and that we are the mother and father of all human beings, and that the black man and black woman gave civilization to the world, and maybe our children would want to be a part of a system like that that teaches them the good of themselves. See, let's talk about the truth, and let's not call that racism. Let's call it the truth. If Gregor Mendel, a white scientist, said dark eyes and dark skin is dominant, light eyes and light skin is recessive, you can get the recessive from the dominant, but you can't get the dominant from the recessive. He's saying that the black man and woman are the mother and father of all human beings. To tell me that we need better teacher instruction in the classroom is to tell me that we need better slave makers in the classroom who are going to teach the same old curriculum that we've been teaching our children since slavery. And that is unacceptable. Let's be clear on what we're talking about here. We're talking about a school district that has 97% black and brown with a board that is over 50, that's 50%, over 50% white, because they're concerned with money and not properly educating our children. We know what our children need to learn, Dr. Smith. Let's create our own curriculum. And let's change the one in the public school system so our children can be given a knowledge of themselves. They don't love themselves because they don't know themselves. Who want to read about my ancestors picked cotton during 1 month, the shortest month of the school year, when there is no history before black history? So let's address the problem at the root, doctor. Let's go to the core of the problem. Our children are being taught a curriculum founded in white supremacy. And if you're a black educator and you promote that system, then you're promoting white supremacy. Thank you, and I apologize. May Allah bless us to address the real questions and to do what really needs to be done. Stand up as strong black men and women and not be afraid to say what you know needs to be said.